you're past the halfway mark. Kudos to you. You're doing an amazing job. So how goes it? How was the walking meditation? Did you integrate some yoga? Did you find some physical activity in your weekly routine? But more importantly, how was the mantra? Was it awkward? Did it feel good? How often were you able to incorporate it? Send us an email. Let us know. Tune in. We're fascinated to know how this experience and all the different forms of stress management techniques and tools, meditation and mindfulness modalities, how they're supporting you. So before we go any further, let's pause and let's start off with a 3-minute breathing exercise. So I'd like you to get into a comfortable seated position or laying position. And when you're ready, closing your eyes, bringing your awareness to your breath. Feeling the rise and fall of your belly. And if you're having trouble anchoring to your belly and breathing through there, put your hand gently on your stomach to help you feel the in and out. Now, smiling. Yes, with your eyes closed, smiling. Playfulness and being silly is so important. And we can bring that to our meditation practice, to our 3-minute breathing exercise. Bringing your attention back to your smile or to your breath. What are you smiling about? What is joyful in your life right now? Where is there goodness? Let's celebrate that. Let's focus on that. Let that be your guide for this breathing exercise today. And as your mind wanders, coming back to your breath or to your smile, starting to tune in to the sounds and the noises, movements around you. Perhaps doing a big stretch before opening your eyes. If you're laying, pointing your toes and putting your hands above your head and doing a big, beautiful good morning stretch. And if you're sitting, raising your hands above your shoulders and doing a stretch. And then gently opening your eyes. So today we did a smile. You can do that anytime. You don't have to wait for something around you to make you smile. You can reflect or think on something funny or magical that your pet or your kid or your friend did. Perhaps even your spouse did something that's worth smiling about. Of course they did. I'm being silly. So today we're focusing in on creating space. And so my hope is, as you've been journaling and you've been contemplating on your experiences over the last 3 weeks, that you're starting to notice, as we talked about, just a little bit longer with those gaps in between your thoughts, right? So we're starting to cultivate and create that space because we're learning how to become the observer of our thoughts. We're gaining power over our mind. It's not power in like a domineering, I will dominate you sense. It's power in a freeing sense. And that as we start to realize the fact versus fiction, the narratives and the stories we have about ourselves and our realities and the people within them, and how much time we spend preoccupied with those, we start to create space. And when we start to create space, we have the opportunity to uncover and unlock our more dormant selves and start to ask some really cool questions, juicy questions, hard questions, questions that a lot of people sometimes are like, Morgan, I don't know. I don't want to answer that. I often find when people give me that answer, it's because they don't have enough space yet. We got to clear the cobwebs, if you will. Excuse me, Mr. Plant. In order to create the opportunity to ask questions like, what is your purpose? Or what are your passions? What are you willing to stick with versus what are you willing to let go? And the only way we start to really listen and understand that and break through the thoughts and the noise is through spending time with ourselves. And of course, we can also gain that insight through time. With age, right? We talk a lot about with age comes great wisdom. Absolutely. But I personally believe you can have a lot of wisdom at a very young age if you're spending time with yourself and checking in and building that introspection muscle. But age is beautiful too. And as I get older and my bones are a bit more creaky and my muscles, as I was sharing with the producer of this, amazing Victoria, we are getting a little bit older and we feel things a bit more acutely. And for those who are listening who are older than us, you're going to be saying, shut up, stop complaining. You don't even know, right? So we do gain insight through age and time and practice and testing. And but today's session and throughout the whole series, we're focused on creating that space for you to gain that insight through that vehicle. We're going to do a quick writing exercise. So hopefully if you have your journal or the tool that we've provided for you throughout, get that up now, and we're going to ask a few questions. What do you think about the most? What continues to take up space in your mind without you wanting it or wishing it to? And what holds the most power over your thoughts? So we started to touch on this when we were talking about Eckhart Tolle, the brain and the mind as a tormentor, and the incessant tracks. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the reality of our past hurt and our future worry. So mindfulness, as we've talked about, is bringing awareness to the present moment without judgment. And that in this case, the present moment is key. Our past wounds will guide us and influence how we show up, and our future worries will do just the same. And so I don't want to be a pessimist here in any way, but I want to acknowledge the fact that while we can bring more awareness and become the observer and create more space, these elements of being human will remain with us because they're an important part for our survival, and breaking those habits are incredibly challenging, not impossible, but I think it's just important for us to acknowledge the reality of carrying those with us, and that's okay. That is. And so today we're going to be acknowledging the fact that these exist, because if we don't acknowledge and we do repress and we push down that these aren't influencing us, which is complete BS, then they don't go away. They get worse. They get worse. I'm sorry to say, and they trickle out in weird and bizarre ways, and they might show up psychosomatically, which means you're feeling all those old wounds in your body, in your joints. You're getting sick, okay? There's a lot more research linking stress, unhealed wounds, and trauma to autoimmune. And so it's a big deal if we don't deal with that shit. And again, I'm not expecting you in the 6 weeks or with me to effectively deal with that, but if there are things that you're holding on to, pushing them down and not allowing them to come through mindfulness is going to impact you. A few more questions. What are the past hurts that you're holding on to? How do these influence your day-to-day thoughts and behaviors? What are the future worries that continue to nag away at you and take you away from the present? The reason I ask you these questions is there's some real power in bringing pen to paper, of taking what's here and putting it on something physical. It often makes it more real, and it starts to hold us more accountable. It's when we can't run perhaps as much as we were running or ignoring or repressing. And I think making things more real, taking them from perhaps the abstract or the less concrete to the physical world, is a really important and necessary step for healing. As they say, it's an expression I love. I don't know who they is or they are, but we have to feel it to heal it. And so that's a really important tenet that I choose to live by. So I want to give you some visualization exercises to help you with thoughts and creating space. And so this may be thoughts from the past or the future that continue to pull you away from the present. So in your meditations, you can utilize these, and you can also utilize them at any time in the day. So one of them is visualizing your thoughts as a passing cloud. To put your thought up on that cloud and to let it pass by as it would in the sky. Or perhaps it's a leaf floating down from a tree. And once it hits the ground, that thought has passed. Perhaps it's ripples on the water. So you drop a rock in the middle and your thoughts are represented by the ripples. And as they reverberate out into the larger body of water, so do your thoughts. And they go gently. And the last visualization, and this one might be a bit trickier or perhaps just feel a touch awkward to start with, but is to hold your future worry. And it's holding it in your mind's eye, but you can physically do it if you want, like I am. You can see how naturally I want to do that. But to hold those painful thoughts and experiences in balanced awareness and to cradle them, to visualize cradling them like a baby. And acknowledging your worries and your pains and your future thoughts and comforting them in that way. So those are a few simple visualization exercises that may help you to let go of thoughts and to also stop ascribing that good or bad, which we tend to do because we want to let go and push away the bad, or that's that repression, and we want to hold on to the good. Like, this happened to me today, or I got this rating at work, or my kid said I love you, and you want to hold on to that. And of course we do. We're human beings. We have attachment to things. Buddhists want us to work towards lessening our attachments, but I am not going to sit here and say to you that I don't have attachments and that I don't want my kid to say I love you. Of course I do. And I want to hold on to those things. But they take up space. Okay? They take us away from the present moment. So, just a few tools for your utilization when you see fit. So how do I create space? Well, I do practice formal meditation, just like you've been doing. And I also look to bring in informal practice into my day-to-day. So when I walk to work, how can I create space? Taking the headphones out, no music, no podcasts, just silence. Focusing on the trees in front of me. In the shower, feeling the water on my fingers, on my skin. When I'm washing the dishes, feeling the sensations. When I'm starting to feel my blood pressure rising, whether it's my kid screaming or my husband has left his socks under the table for the millionth time, taking a breath, utilizing that 3-minute breathing space, but utilizing it in a 3-second as opposed to a 3-minute. So those are how I bring in that informal practice to my day-to-day. And I have a few other tricks that I'd love for you to utilize. And again, not everyone is going to resonate with everyone, but providing you 2 different strategies to employ to create more space. One is using the power of sound. So at Thich Nhat Hanh's monastery in France, and he's a Buddhist monk, and I reference a lot of his tools within this training. When the bell tolls, everyone at the monastery is to pause and take 3 inhalations and exhalations. So no matter if you're in the midst of a conversation or you're gardening or you're doing walking meditation, you're stopping and pausing. Now, there are beautiful church bells around in different communities, but we don't need bells per se to create sound. We have buzzing on our cell phones. We have binging from emails. We have all kinds of sounds in our physical space. So perhaps it's saying, when I hear the elevator, if you're in a tall office building, or when my car starts, or when my cell phone buzzes, I'm going to take 3 inhalations and exhalations. And even cooler would be, if you work as part of a team, perhaps you could do this as a team. So you have a sound that when it goes off, everyone on the team stops, pauses, and breathes. The second tool I want to share with you to create space is something called habit energies. And so this is again from Thich Nhat Hanh, and it's building awareness about what are our habit energies. And so these are the things that pull us. And we've already been sort of talking about things that we keep being drawn back to, our thoughts, our past, our future worries. And so these pull us, and we're sort of holding onto the reins, and what's pulling us is like an out of control horse. So it's our emotions are sort of going into, going off in the distance, or I'm forgetting the expression right now, but you're just along for the ride, and you're holding on for dear life, and you're going, oh my gosh, hope there aren't too many bodies. Okay. So for me, one of my habit energies is cleaning on Saturday mornings. Okay. My mom did the same thing. Sorry, Mom, but you did. And it created a flurry of stress and activity, and it ruined Saturday morning. So my mom and dad started going out for breakfast to interrupt that pathway. Somehow I started to carry this on. Even though my mom and dad worked to break that cycle, I carried it on and realized I'm ruining everyone's morning, my kids, my husband, and myself. And so I didn't want to be just along for the ride anymore. I wanted to take control. And so one way is simply through all the work that we're doing is building that awareness muscle and realizing that we're heading in that direction. And what Thich Nhat Hanh recommends is just calling it out and saying, hello, habit energies. I know you're going to feel ridiculous calling out, hello, habit energies. But sometimes the more silly and fun we have with things, the more awareness, the more likely we are to continue to do it. So those are just two more tools in addition to the visualization exercises I gave you to help you create and carve out more space. So what are your habit energies? Take a moment to pause and reflect and to consider, where are you simply along for the ride and you're being carried forward, whether through your actions or your emotional responses, but perhaps you didn't even realize that before were habit energies. And I think that you might uncover more habit energies as you start to build awareness. Okay, where are you simply along for the ride? So that's not your only homework. It never is. Okay. So for this week, in helping you to create space, I want you to carve out some time to engage in mindful eating. And I really do want you to do this on your own and in silence. And even if it's 2 meals out of the upcoming 21 meals that you have to choose from, where you sit in silence on your own and slowly and wonderfully experience the wonderment of food and all that it has to offer us, the sensations, the tastes, the mouthfeel, all of it, that's part of your homework. The second piece is the bell meditation. So we have created, I believe it's a 10 to 12 minute meditation with the bells, and it's using these beautiful bells right here, which are Tibetan bells, and it's to continuously refocus your thoughts and attention only through the power of the bell. And so it's riffing off of the technique I shared around using sound as a reminder to bring you back to the present moment and create space. You've got this. Good luck. See you next time.